across America.
I don't need to know where you've been. I don't need to know where you're going to. Just sit right down and breathe the air that you know is always there. I wanna know you right now. I wanna know you right here. Tell me the story where the pages are born through your very own heart. So show me who you really are. Show me that you know you're as bright as any star. I'll show you the one who's gonna change the world, the one you really are. I love you, you really are. You really are. So you see, you got an opportunity. You got the room to be anything you wanna be. So show me who you really are. Show me that you know you're as bright as any star. I'll show you the one who's gonna change the world, the one you really are. I love the one you really are. It's good to take your time. It's good to find your own way to the light of that star. Show me who you really are. Any star. So tomorrow we're gonna...
We'll make the run down to Norwalk, going out the 2-lane road to Cashton along the ridge. Should be some gorgeous autumn scenes. And then we'll drop down into New York, and in Norwalk, and see if Hilda, who appeared to be one of the original Norwalk people, who used to buy eggs from there. Long time ago.
I remember that.
She's the only one that's really left, I think, from that time period. But coming up on the right now is one of the more popular, well-known donut shops. It's called Mr. D's. Looks like they're working on the parking lot.
Apparently. I don't think there's any donuts being made in there.
Gee, what happened? It's all... doesn't look like it's there. I'm going to have to ask Marilyn. Maybe they moved, because you could get most any kind of donut imaginable. People would come down at 2:30 or 3 in the morning. Each type of donut had a certain 5-minute period when it would be completed and at its freshest point. This church on the right was Mom's church, my mother's church, for many years until she passed away. And the hospital on the right, St. Francis, was where my mom worked hard in her later years scrubbing floors to have some extra income. A lot of these old homes on 12th Street. Quick wooden bluff. Big hole up there, it's hard to see. It's called Indian Joe's Cave. Where I spent many a happy hours with my young friends, roasting weenies and eating cans of beans, and just having a wonderful time. This is 21st Street, where I I spent a number of years in my childhood at a place called 806 South 21st Street.
Which side of the street is that?
It's on the left-hand side, and it is that funny shade of brown right there.
Mm-hmm.
That one, 806 South 21st. I spent a great amount of years right in this neighborhood.
So this is the house that you grew up
806
in.
South 21st Street. Sat out on that front porch a lot of nights in the summer in terrible thunderstorms. And my father would entertain me with telling stories of when he was a young man hunting down around Norwalk.
Oh, those scary stories.
That later I combined with a serial killer who was killing hunters and told the story to my kids and scared the bejeebies out of them to where they couldn't sleep at night.
And that's what happens when you talk about serial killers to children.
On this corner, my first girlfriend was over there, Carol Esplin. So every day that I would walk to school, in grade school, before I went to junior high school, this is the way I would walk. I would come out the back door, Brother Rich and I, as little tights, and we'd walk up this street. Just a few short blocks to Hogan Grade School, where I graduated from the 6th grade. My kindergarten teacher was Mrs. Croner. She was about 6'3", tallest woman I'd ever seen in my life at that point.
Was she scary?
She was a very loving person. Many, many years later, she was retiring, and I saw in the paper, I happened to be back here, and I came back here to talk to her. I saw her in her classroom, and she cried. She couldn't believe that I would come to see her. This used to be a skating rink. It was indented, and spent all my winters here skating. No matter how cold it was, it didn't bother us. We'd spend our summers in the swimming pool and our winters skating.
Okay, so this is the road that we lived on.
This is that White House right there.
No. No.
Yep.
That's not where we lived.
It wasn't that one there. What's the number on there? 2116?
Yeah.
That's it, right there.
Okay, in my memory, this was a massive house. And it's
Dan and Tom terrorized the neighborhood at night. I kept defending them.
and out here is where all the piles of snow were, and we would build dig tunnels.
There's a garage out and back.
Yeah, unbelievable how you see these homes when you come back later in life and they're so teeny.
I'll turn around and get another one and go back.
I am going by the memory of a child walking to school. So, a 9-year-old child, so let's see how well I can remember how to get to school. Is this that school where the boiler blew up that day?
Yeah, the Tom.
Tom wrote you that letter?
Yeah, that was so cute. Still have that. And she's got it someplace.
You were where? You were in California, or where were you?
I was flying around the country.
Oh, okay, and he sent you a letter.
He was lonesome.
He sent you a letter that the
he
boiler
wrote that
blew
letter.
up.
He said, but Dan still went to school. Like, the boiler blew up and he still went to school.
Okay, I think you go left here to get to my school.
That's good.
I'm just totally guessing now. And then I think you turn right up here.
Did you go to school by yourself? Walk down there?
I did.
Oh my gosh.
Back in the day when you could.
When you could.
Okay, turn right here.
I didn't even know there was a grade school over here. You had to walk quite a ways.
I had to walk a long ways, 5 miles in the snow.
We shouldn't have allowed that. That's not right.
Well, I would come over here and I met up with my girlfriend Linda in one of these houses, if we're on the right street.
Go straight. See the school around here. We had to. I idea you walked this far.
Yeah, I had to wind through.
I wasn't a very good father to even allow that. Today, gosh, that's frightening the dickens out of me.
Yeah, well,
Have some little girl walk this far.
I was a tough little cookie. Just keep going straight, and it should be up on the right.
Man, it's amazing if you can remember this. There's something up there. My gosh, it must have been like eight or 10 blocks. There's the school there.
Well, are you kidding me? That's the school. I found my way to my school.
My gosh, that's terrific.
This is incredible. Okay.
There's the little kids. You went to school here. What grades do you think?
Third and
There's the
fourth.
moms are still.
Third and fourth grade. Wait,
What's
let
the
me
name
get
of
a picture of the sign here.
Harry Spence School.
Harry Spence. Let me get a zoom in. Is anyone behind us?
No.
Harry Spence School.
What a memory.
I'm amazed with myself right now.
What a memory. Whoops. Wow.
Mrs. Knobloch was my third grade teacher, and Mrs. Hatch was my fourth grade teacher.
Man.
And there's the patrol boy right there.
They still have them.
And then there's a swimming pool over here where we used to swim. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the swimming pool. When I was in the 6th grade, Jerry Ostring was a year ahead of us, and he was a patrol guy.
Yeah, it's an important job.
Oh, it was a respected position.
I was never a patrol girl.
You were an authority figure. Well, that was back when there was more male dominance. It was unusual to have a girl safety patrol. Women had not yet come into their own.
Yes, but I could still walk 5 miles in the snow to school by myself.
Well, that is unbelievable. Had I known that was going on, I would have put a stop to that.
Yeah, right.
I would have been worried sick, knowing you had to walk all that way by yourself and in the snow. That's it.
Okay, so where are we now?
At Bridal Sweetwater.
And what happens here? Bridals with
Sorry, we're closed.
Sorry, we're closed. This is not good.
Jeez. Man. I hope they're not on vacation.
That would be very bad. The Dittmans must have their Wisconsin meats.
They're open. They'll be open tomorrow, 8:35.
Oh, thank the Lord. Okay, so I have this memory of when we'd go visit Grandma, but you're telling me she wasn't anywhere near this store, huh? This is a store where we used to get brownie ice cream. We're trying to find it now and see if it's still there.
It was called Radisson Ice Cream. I think it was the same family, but now somebody else that runs it.
Ice cream and candy, it says.
Well, he's expanded. I think there's popcorn in there.
He's expanded into popcorn. Okay, so it was brownie ice cream that was to die for.
It was very good. Big favorite.
Okay, we're coming up on the Christian Science Church where
Right there.
Tom and Dan and I were dreading. Here it is.
Forced to go here.
Forced. Much to our dismay.
Coerced. Going right downtown. No. Down here. It's just a parking lot now. This empty space is where the old Wisconsin movie theater was. And I would come down, and for 11 cents I could watch 2 movies and have a small pop and popcorn.
And now it's a parking lot.
Yep. So this is old downtown. You know,
Ah.
the See that hot dogs, Coney Island? Man,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's a really nice experience. Coney Island hot dogs.
Okay, so this is
Riverside Park.
Riverside Park.
It's where the whole, once a year they have the lacrosse jazz festival. See Riverside Park?
Even
we're
lacrosse?
We're going to come around there.
Even lacrosse has a jazz
Oh, that's a
festival.
big one, and they come from all over. Jazz fans, connoisseurs of jazz.
And did we come here? Did we spend time
Oh,
here?
sure, yeah. You know, there's a statue down here of a huge Indian, and it was done by my 9th grade art teacher, Mr.
Wow.
Zimmerhockle.
Zimmerhockle.
He was kind of a foreign type looking guy, and foreign talking, and kind of old country type guy. And this Indian, he carved this Indian. And of course, I guess they repaint it from time to time. But it's quite a symbol here in Riverside Park. And his name was Mr. Zimmerhockle. Can you imagine carving that thing? I mean, that's a lot of work. And this is where the paddle boats let people off and pick them up, and they give river cruises. This is the Mississippi.
Mississippi River Cruises.
Yep. That is the new bridge. There's an old bridge and a new bridge now.
I'd rather go on the new one.
Well, the curved one is the new one, right behind. So the bridge that is in front of us is the old Mississippi Bridge, and you use it to go to Minnesota. And when you come back, you come over the new one.
Huh? So the old one still works.
Yeah, it's still up there. Now, one of the scary things, Rich Nollop, my best friend of all these years, grew up, he and I tried to swim across the Mississippi.
What?
Yep, and we got, I don't know, we weren't drunk or anything, but we had some harebrained idea that we were going to do it. And one of the scariest times in my life was we were swimming side by side. We were both pretty good swimmers. And we got almost to the middle, Eileen. And what you can't see is there's an undertow. In other words, you could start out swimming and you think you're going to swim straight across.
Mm-hmm.
If you start swimming here, you might end up down by the bridge because of the current. It just carries you on down. You're actually swimming at a sharp diagonal. That sandy part over there is one of the beaches in the summertime. So we got out, went even halfway, and we both could feel this powerful tow pulling our legs down. We got scared. And I said, Rich, you know, we better, and I might not be here today had we been foolish enough to continue. But we were smart enough to know that that river was stronger than we. We turned around and came back. I looked a little bit like Bill Gates, a real nerd. I had more glasses. I was skinny, and I couldn't get a girl to look at me to save my life. I even took shorthand because it was a class in which it was all girls. I figured I'm going to win here because there's no competition. I still didn't get a girlfriend. Even taking shorthand, I couldn't get a girlfriend. But then I started singing, and I got some notice that I was a pretty good singer. I sang solos and school program. I was in the operetta as the colonel on HMS Pinafore.
You were the colonel?
I was the colonel. I had the lead.
And then did you get girls after that?
I still do.
Okay, so this is
Sixth.
6th Street that we're turning onto where
Right.
your mom, my grandma, used to live.
She'd have Christmas at her house. It's a little tiny house. You get 35, 40 people in it, and you had to eat standing up. Remember Edgar, and he had that funny walk, and Tom would get behind him and imitate that walk. We'd all laugh because he'd be dragging one leg along behind Edgar, imitating him. We were all scared Edgar was going to turn around and get mad at Edgar.
So this is where Grandma's house used to be.
916 South 6th Street was her address.
But these are the same trees that were here
Yep,
before.
And Mother and Edgar would sit in there, and there was 2 highlights to their day. When the paper got delivered, and when the mail came. And they would talk. They'd sit in their easy chairs and say, have you heard them throw the paper up there yet? I said, no. And they'd wake up from a nap an hour later and say, is it time for the mail? That was it.
And did you camp out up here on the bluff?
Not overnight, but we'd take a bunch of snacks and hot dogs, cans of pork and beans, Twinkies, that kind of stuff.
Pretend you were camping out.
Yeah. We had to be home in time for supper, so.
So it was Rich Nollop and who else?
Johnny Hopkins, Jerry Ostring, Lee Pewfall.
Apparently, Mrs. Frank Hutson and other residents donated the bluff to
I
mankind.
think they might have donated that sign. Christian Divine Worship Across, the Reverend Father James Love.
Crazy kids.
Stupid thing. If our parents knew what we did up here, they wouldn't be able to sleep at night. When I went in the Marine Corps, I left on the Milwaukee Road on the north side where my mom and dad said goodbye to me, and went on down to Milwaukee to induction. But then when I came home on my first leave, the railroad station used to be right down here. But now that house is there.
Railroad tracks down there.
Yeah, that's where the depot was. And I got off there when I came home on my first leave.
How long were you in the Marine Corps?
For 3 years, from from January 8th, 1953 to January 8th, 1956. 3 years of active duty.
You didn't want to stay on?
No, I wasn't cut out for that much of a structured life. I hated the inspections and having to have everything spit and polished all the time. Well, I was wondering if you'd even remember me.
Well, of course I remember you. You haven't changed a bit. I think you lost some weight since I saw
Yeah, I
you
did.
last.
Awesome.
Yeah!
You don't remember?
I remember Eileen. I really do. I've been seeing her since I was 10 years
We just
old.
wanted to say
How long
hello.
are you guys here for?
Oh, I don't know, a few more days.
A few more days, yeah. Been taking some rides in the country and
Well, I
stuff.
took her up to the bluff, and we haven't done the Norwalk run yet.
I was going to say, I bet you
And
did.
we wanted to see the color leave and pick just the
Oh,
right
you
time.
picked a perfect time.
We're trying to find the house on Heschler Drive that we lived in when we first came to La Crosse as a family. So this is the house that we first lived in when we came to La Crosse as a family.
Very familiar.
And this house was
2522 Heschler Drive.
massive to me as a child, and I see now that it's just
Ordinary house.
an ordinary house. And then we used to play on this street, and
I should have any memories of that.
the railroad tracks are down to the left over here, where we used to put pennies on the tracks. Watch them get smushed.
I bet they did get smushed.
Okay, so here we are at Uncle Bill's house. We're going to say hi to Uncle Bill. Hi, Uncle Bill.
Hello.
I think Nancy's hired Eileen as a spy.
Yes, I'm getting it all on
I
film.
can hardly eat anything.
Hi, Marilyn.
Ooh, hello.
We're documenting everything.
We're documenting everything.
Oh, gosh.
Uh-oh, you're gonna document Garland eating pizza.
Yeah, so Nancy, he's eating pizza now, and I'll try to keep track.
Small piece.
I'll try to keep
For
track of
One
how
giant
many.
step for mankind. Is there anything that we could bring you if we're coming through Sparta? Okay. How about a six-pack of cold beer with that?
I want some chewing tobacco. See if she's still.
Rich has suggested some chewing tobacco. Doesn't that sound like him?
Yeah. But, the stories you can hear about your relatives.
Well, Hank was the most controversial. He was dabbling in a life of crime.
Oh, mercy.
In some way.
He had larceny in his heart.
And I've seen pictures of our dad when he was down in Norwalk. Well, he's always been a good looking man. But he was really good looking. He always had 3 or 4 women on his arm.
Oh. Well, he used to tell me stories about back when they drove, I don't know if it was Model Ts or Model As, but them old clunkers and black ones. And they had hard rubber tires and they didn't have balloon type tires that took air. And he said we would always have to have 3 or 4 extra tires either tied on the back end or someplace, because he said the roads were so terrible and they would go from Norwalk to Cashton for a dance.
Yeah.
And he said we'd break our tires going over them ruddy old roads.
Dancing was big.
And then they got to the dance, and then they'd have to go out behind the barn where they had the moonshine and have a few belts out there, and then they'd go back and dance a little and maybe romance a little, I don't know. But he said, I always tried to get home by sunup because us doing the barn then, and he said, boy, the old man didn't care for me coming home when there's cows to be milked and smelling of strong drink. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it. Now this year is Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. Who do you think is going to be Papa Bear? I'm the only guy in the crowd this year, unless we could recruit another
I think
one.
you're going to be Goldilocks.
That would take some imagination.
Be the biggest Goldilocks I ever saw.
Oh, we did the Emperor's new clothes, and it was really funny. I was the Emperor, of course, and I was walking around in long red underwear, thinking I had my clothes on, you know. That red underwear had the trap doors back.
Oh.
And one of them darn women, I've never figured out which one, got to my red underwear and unbuttoned that. And so I was wearing red shorts, red underwear. But I pulled on the long underwear, and then I'd wear a robe and a crown and all that leading up to the end when the Emperor had no clothes on, but he thought he did, or was showing off that he did. And so I'm parading around up there, and these were 3rd graders, 2 3rd grade classes at La Crescent Elementary. And then at the end, we would introduce ourselves, and a couple of the ladies were over 80, but they did a super good job. We'd ask them if they had any questions, and this one kid says to me right off the bat, he says, how come that thing in the back of your underwear is hanging down? And I thought, oh God, here I've been parading around with that trap door in the back hanging down. And then when I reached around, and sure enough it was down. They just roared. They thought that was so funny.
Well, that was the highlight right there.
Yeah.
So and then they said, no, we think you went down to the spring to get some spring water. Or you just turned to go to Wilton there. I went down there, sure enough, the car was there, and it was usually different.
Well, he was filling up a couple milk cans or
whatever.
something.
And So I pulled in there and he said, hey, you know, he said, well, how did you find me? He said. I said, well, the guys there in Kunitz's bar were in there playing cards. They told me that you come down to get water. Oh, okay. I said, and they said you had a different car now. Oh, yeah, and he started telling me about the car. I said, they told me what color to look for. He's got a funny look on his face. He said, yeah? He said that your car was calf shit yellow. Oh, jeez, he cut loose with it. He really cut loose with a string. Goddamn sons of bitches. Talk about a man's car. Like it, like he was really proud that he had not a new one, but a better one.
Yeah.
Oh, he got mad.
Well, remember Martha, his wife? She used to swear like a drunken sailor.
She could swear worse than Clarence.
Oh.
Wow, what came out of her? She was just a little thing.
Yeah.
She could swear and scare off anybody just by swearing. This is how you come in when you come from Cast. I'm pretty sure I can remember Hilda's house. It's that light blue one.
Well, if you get me in the right area, I can remember the house Henry used to live in. But after
I can
that,
too.
I'm lost.
I can go take up that road. This is where Hilda had been living.
Right here?
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about me going up to get eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And Regina would go out back to where the chickens and
Yeah.
the eggs were.
That was always her job, to feed the chickens and get them the eggs.
Yeah, and those eggs tasted so much better than the ones you buy in the store.
Oh,
in
yeah,
town.
yeah.
They were pretty fresh.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Clarence, he was quite a character, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
He was quite a storyteller.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Didn't he used to work on the railroad?
Yeah, well, on all of my dad did some time on the railroad, and then see, Dad and Henry, called Hank,
Yeah,
Dad and Hank and Clarence, they all did some time on the railroad,
oh.
and not all the time.
Opening and closing the door of the
Oh,
tunnel.
yeah,
yeah.
That had to be
They
done
kinda
every
got
time
that
a train
job.
would come
Oh,
through.
sure.
In the wintertime, they had to get those heavy doors and make
Yeah.
sure they were open, otherwise they wouldn't have those doors.
And
very
they'd have
long.
to shovel snow
Yeah,
sometimes to get the doors,
get the
to
doors
swing
open.
the doors open, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And on Clarence's farm, which had been his parents' farm, and that was the Meyer, M-E-Y-E-R.
Oh, yeah.
That tied in, see, Charlie and Nellie Meyer, M-E-Y-E-R,
Yeah.
was on the Amelia, my grandma Amelia Dittman, married Henry Dittman. They came from Germany.
Oh,
I think back late in the 1900s.
oh, yeah.
They came, in the 90s, they came from
Mhm.
Germany.
1890s. Yeah.
1890s. Amelia Meyer, who married into the Dittman family.
Oh, yeah.
So my grandma on that side, her maiden name was Meyer.
Oh. Mhm.
So, anyway. So she's kind of making a little memory thing
Yeah,
for me. From a different time period, huh?
yeah. Yeah, they're.
Do you have any idea about how old those pictures might be?
Oh, gee.
Are they the parents? Could they be?
Yeah, those are my grandparents.
Your grandparents?
Yeah.
Wow.
from My mother's side and my father's side.
Wow.
Hmm?
And if we would show up around lunchtime, not expecting anything, but Nellie would say, well, let me get a few things out on the table.
Oh, yeah.
And lunch would be some homemade bread,
Oh,
homemade
yeah.
baked bread,
Mhm.
and a bowl of applesauce.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you had for lunch.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Some applesauce and homemade bread.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember as a child that we would, they would just brush off the crumbs off the plates and put it right back up in the
Yeah, they wouldn't
cabinet.
necessarily wash them, they just brushed it
Oh,
off.
yeah, yeah.
Our younger brother claims that I'm really not part of the family. He
Oh,
said because I look so different than everybody else in the
Oh,
family.
yeah.
And he claims I look like the guy that used to deliver coal at our house. but that's not true.
Hilda, I wanted to ask you, is that a piano?
It's an organ.
An organ?
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's so dry in here that it doesn't
Yeah.
have
Doesn't.
no tune anymore.
Not much in tune, huh?
No.
That's a real antique.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
It's beautiful.
How far back would that go, Hilda?
Oh God. Quite a number of years.
Yeah. Good. They probably don't have any wild parties here in the neighborhood, huh? That's
Wait, which one is Charlie and Nellie?
right there. We're in front of it right now.
The yellow one.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, it's something in the Dittman blood that keeps bringing us back here.
Yeah.
Because we know that there were some early roots by our former generation.
Yeah. Do you have your
Like this way.
microphone on?
Yeah.
Dan?
They don't like what you're saying.
Maybe I'm cussing right now. Let's get out of here. Okay. There's a big drum. Around the town. There's a big drum.
Wait, don't roll the window up.
You and I and Marilyn and the kids.
Is it okay to film in here? We're in Kunitz's bar. This is
where you eat, huh? All right. Have a luncheon. Hey!
Hey,
You don't remember that, you?
you know, I remember your face.
He's the guy that wrote you that bad check.
You know,
Oh, we were gonna come in.
I was gonna say that honestly. I know
You were gonna be nice about it.
No, but I better not just in case.
We were gonna come in and ask you.
No doubt.
No, there's one other ever done. Yeah, we've got about, we've been running it ourselves now for a couple of years. I don't know. I'll give you your quarter later.
Well, a lot of wonderful stories about Norwalk.
You know, like I said, it was a totally different, it was a little rural town when I
Yeah,
was
it's
here.
a different world.
Yes, it is, very much so.
Well, anytime we get back here, we got.
Well, I know you do.
She's actually making a documentary film, and we're going to sell it to Hollywood. So
Oh, okay.
I want to make sure you get in on it.
Oh, all right.
It could be discovered.
Oh.
Want me to turn it around so you can get a better shot, sweetheart?
She really works with NBC, the National Biscuit Company.
yes.
Oh, I see, okay.
Okay, that's Larry's house up there on the,
Yeah.
across the way.
Boy, they're really working at it. He hopes to move
wow,
in
look at
before the snow
that.
flies, so.
This is the farm where I love to come.
I don't know this little piece out here that they've.
That's all been added. This lady kind of runs a daycare, I think,
Oh, really?
and she has kids crawling.
So
all over.
that's a new house, though. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
I don't
a
remember
house.
this one over here. That's the same shed
Where they had the ice cream.
where we had the ice pie and ice cream.
Yeah.
Sometimes there'd be a few homemade cookies. But they don't. Arlene said they don't go to church here anymore. I mean, the church is
Yeah.
inactive.
They, the Historical Society took over the building.
That's a beautiful scene there with the trees.
Yeah.
You want to walk up and talk to the lady?
Oh, you're gonna stay in the car?
Well, I don't know her.
Hello. Hello. I think there's just a bunch of cats that live here and run the farm. Hello. So this is where I used to run around and play. Of course, they have more buildings here. This is the same silo. We used to get inside there when it was low. And play around. This big tree, still the same big old tree.
Sitting
I mean, as a pet? No, I mean, it was, stuffed animal sitting on the chair by her. And it was this very intriguing, so we struck up a conversation.
I mentioned that is intriguing. I can't help noticing you're a white gorilla.
Yeah, but, and then it kind of came out that she was waiting for another lady. Well, I thought maybe that was her pet in some sense, and she took it to lunch. So we were teasing her about what they were going to eat, and all this kind of stuff. And of course, Rich had a ball with it.
I can relate to that because, of course, I have an imaginary friend.
Yeah, right. So this wasn't even imaginary. The waitress at this restaurant that Loren and I and Bill we were really the Chippendales. Geez, look at that. The Chippendale dancers.
That was Uncle Rich?
Yeah, Uncle Rich.
And he asked her if she could maybe just pull a couple of tables together that we could use as a stage.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, these people look at Rich and they say, where did he escape from?
Mr. Chippendale dancer himself.
Did they respond?
They laughed.
Well, they
And that just cut me to the quick.
Well, you were the only one that might have a chance
Because I
of
fancied
being a
myself
Chippendale.
to be.
The rest of us looked like, we were some kind of hogs that escaped from a pen.
There's thousands and thousands of acres. This just goes on. Really?
I could travel the whole wide world to find that place inside that makes me smile. Or I could sit right down, spend some time watching the river go by. I could go to school for years and years to find my place in the world where I can shine. Or I could sit right down, spend some time watching the river go by. 'Cause it's all in the by and by. It's all in the by and by. It's here in the by and by. I could search for the love of my happiness go? The whole world wants to know. Where did wisdom go? The whole world wants to know. Where did freedom go? The whole world wants to know. Where did love go? Where did love go? Well, I could start my own religion and say it's the only way to the sweet divine. Or I could sit right down, spend some time watching the river go by. 'Cause it's all in the by and by. All that is divine. It's all right here in the by and by. It's all right here. All that is divine.
Oh, they say something.
Even talk.
Like hi there or something.
I wish she can't talk, I'd be pushing a button.